The Evolution of a Bad Boy, written by Susanna Thompson, narrated by Sarah Sampino. Chapter 6. Celeste didn't understand how she could be so attracted to someone she didn't care for emotionally. She had allowed Dylan to kiss her just to spite Andrew, but then she had forgotten about him until he pulled Dylan away from her. The kiss was only supposed to be them pressing their lips together, but she had gotten so into it that she had let him stick his tongue into her mouth, completely going against her own rules about PDA. If she was honest with herself, she wanted him to kiss her again. He was right that she had been thinking about what it would be like to be alone with him, although she wouldn't admit it to him. She hadn't thought that way about Andrew, even though she had felt emotionally connected to him and been hurt when he broke up with her. Andrew was exactly the kind of guy she had always imagined herself with. He was smart, responsible, and nice. Dylan was an out-of-control mess. There seemed to be a disconnect between her body and her mind where he was concerned. She knew that he was no good for her, but her body didn't care. Excitement coursed through her every time he came near her. She was still sure that her rational mind would prevail and put a stop to things before they went too far. Also, with Dylan being as sexual as he was, he would probably sleep with another girl soon. Then Celeste would go back to her normal life and look back on this later as her slightly wild time in high school. "I heard that Andrew and Dylan got in a fight over you," Olivia said at lunch. How could she forget how much people loved to exaggerate things? "That's not true." "Who cares? Tell us about kissing him," Lily urged her eagerly. "Is he the best, like they say?" "I haven't kissed enough guys to know," Celeste said diplomatically. She had only kissed 2 guys before Dylan. "He is!" Lily squealed. "Look at how you're blushing. You didn't blush after Andrew kissed you." "Keep your voice down, please." As angry as she was at Andrew, she didn't want something like that to get back to him. Olivia was much less enthusiastic about the whole thing than Lily. "So, what else do you know about him besides that he's a good kisser?" That was actually a good question. If they had really been dating, she would have wanted to know all about him. Celeste looked away from Olivia's disapproving gaze to try to think up a good lie about him, and saw that Dylan was approaching their table. She was grateful for the distraction, because she didn't want to get caught in a lie by her friends. They were the only ones who believed her story about what happened the night of the party, and she would hate to lose their trust too. "Hey, Celeste, I came to meet your friends." He set his tray down and sat down next to her. Celeste made the introductions, although they already knew who he was. "We were just talking about you," Lily declared to Celeste's discomfort. "Yeah?" Dylan looked at Celeste. "What did you say?" "Not much," Olivia said in a cool tone. "Does she even know anything about you?" "We're getting to know each other," he replied smoothly. "What, exactly, do you want to know?" Olivia looked at him in an appraising way that had nothing to do with his looks. "What do you like to do for fun?" She quirked an eyebrow, waiting for him to answer the loaded question. Instead of embarrassing Celeste further by saying something suggestive, he surprised her with his answer. "I love music, and I'm actually in a band." "You are?" Celeste wanted to kick herself for asking that question. That was something that his girlfriend should know. "That's so cool!" Lily broke the awkwardness of the moment. "Do you play guitar?" "No, I sing. Jenna is actually our guitarist." He nodded toward a nearby table. "Your guitar player is a girl? That's so cool!" You could always count on Lily for enthusiasm. Dylan caught the look Olivia shot at Celeste. "We haven't dated. I would never take the chance of breaking up the band that way, and neither would Jenna. We're going to be in the Battle of the Bands next month." "Cool! We're definitely going to hear you play," Lily promised. The school had an annual Battle of the Bands in addition to the talent show, and it was always popular. Celeste had never been to it, even though the student council helped to organize it. She guessed that she would attend this year, even though she and Dylan would surely break up by then.
"We're practicing in my basement on Friday night, if you want to come hear us play,"
Dylan offered. If possible, Lily's level of excitement increased even more. "I'd love to." He smiled at her and looked at Olivia.
"Will you come too? Celeste is going to be there."
This was news to Celeste, but she urged Olivia to come with them. She agreed to be there, probably because she thought Celeste needed a chaperone.
"So, what do you like to do for fun, Olivia?"
Dylan asked, turning the tables on her. She smiled grudgingly at him, and Celeste could see that Dylan would be able to thaw even Olivia if he were given enough time. She was relieved to find out that he could carry a conversation that wasn't made up of sexual innuendos. He focused his attention on people when they spoke, and listened to what they said, instead of just waiting to say what he wanted to say. Celeste realized that she had underestimated him as just a hot-looking guy. His looks were only part of his appeal, and she had to admit that his personality was involved in his seduction of all those girls. It was a pretty irresistible combination.
"What are you thinking?"
Dylan asked her later that afternoon, as they walked out of school together toward the parking lot. "Why did you want to meet my friends?" She had been wondering about that for the rest of the school day.
"I figured that's what a boyfriend would do,"
he shrugged. "You've seriously never had a real girlfriend?" Celeste felt a little more comfortable around him, now that he hadn't tried anything by her locker after school.
"Nope,"
he answered. Why not? She was actually really curious about this.
"I just like to keep things casual. There's no drama that way."
He smiled wryly.
"At least, there wasn't until you made everybody jealous."
"Me?" She looked at him to see if he was serious.
"Yeah. They want to know what makes you special enough to be my girlfriend. It just proves to me that I was right. Commitment just brings drama into your life."
"It wouldn't if you were only with one person," Celeste said.
"Yeah, I see how drama-free your life is,"
Dylan commented, and saw her face fall.
"Hey, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that."
She shook her head. "It's okay. Not all relationships end that way, you know."
"But most do. That's because monogamy isn't realistic, Celeste. There are so many interesting and attractive people in the world. How can you expect to stay with one person for an entire lifetime?"
"Because that's what happens when you fall in love," she answered.
"Have you ever been in love?"
Dylan asked. She was quiet for a moment. "No," she finally admitted.
"Then how do you know what it's like? How do you know it'll last?"
They had reached her car, and he stood, waiting for her answer. "My parents," she said. "They love each other."
"That's very rare. Most of the people I know are divorced."
She couldn't argue with the truth of that statement. "That doesn't mean that you should just give up on ever finding love."
"I've been with lots of girls, and I haven't found it yet."
"Maybe you should slow down," she advised. "Love takes time."
"I do take my time,"
he said as he stepped closer to her.
"I like to give a girl lots of foreplay. It makes it so much better."
Her pulse began to race from the way he was looking at her. "That's not what I meant."
"Do you want to kiss me?"
She was startled by the question. "What?"
"I just saw Andrew pull out of the parking lot. He's not here to see you now. Do you want to kiss me?"
He really paid attention to everything, she realized. "You didn't ask me last time," she said evasively.
"And?"
Dylan prompted. Celeste didn't know what to say, so she just stood, looking at him. What kind of game was he playing now? He regarded her for a moment.
"I'll see you tomorrow, Celeste."
"Wait." she called as he turned to walk away. He came back to her.
Yes?
She wasn't sure what she wanted anymore. Nothing. See you tomorrow. Dylan moved closer to her and looked directly into her eyes. His gaze became intense with desire, and she couldn't look away. Very slowly, he began to lean toward her as her breathing became uneven in anticipation of his kiss. She felt his breath ghosting over her lips and unconsciously parted them for him. At the very last second, he moved his head to whisper into her ear,
I always take my time, Celeste.
He stepped back to look at her, and his lips curved into a sensual smile.
Maybe someday you'll let me give you a ride home.
As she watched him walk away, Celeste wasn't sure about anything anymore.